So a good example of that is if you're kicking your legs to get your horse to ride off. When you ride off, the pressure stops. And I really try to encourage people to release on the mindset that they want. Because we have a lot of opportunities as horsemen to judge whether our horse is relaxed or worried, right? And a lot of times we get so focused on, well, are they doing the maneuver right, that we miss where their mind's at. So, at first, you're just focusing on doing the task, but then the next layer of that is being able to think about your horse's mindset through that. Are they bracing? Are they worried about it? Is their gait really fast? That's all feedback to me. And if I can time my release where they're doing the maneuver and they're soft in the bridle, for example, then it's a win-win. Your horse is going to learn a lot faster if he's mentally in the right frame of mind to do that task. You just rush through all your tasks and everything, your horse won't get anything out of this session. You really got to focus on that. That mindset is very important. So, and most horse training can be broken down into sensitizing and desensitizing. So we want to desensitize our horse to, flag that's waving. So an example of that is like if I'm waving a flag or a plastic bag, and I want my horse to be tolerant of this so that if I'm out trail riding and a bag blows across the trail, he doesn't take off and buck and leave me in the dirt, then I can shake that until his feet stop. So the timing of my release is going to be when his feet stop, and then I can time my release to when he's relaxed. So there's layers of that. Sensitizing is getting your horse good off your leg cues for riding and that type of thing. And that brings us to habituation. So we talked about how the alpha kind of determines whether something is spook-worthy or not. Whether they can just ignore it or they need to flee from it. And habituation is kind of an example of that. So if there's a tumbleweed blowing through your horse's pasture, that happens enough times, your horse is going to realize that didn't cause me any injury. I'm not going to worry about it, right? And that's habituation. It's also a human example of this is, who's been at somebody's house and you're like, oh my gosh, their clock ticks so loud. And then you tell them about it and they're like, what clock? I don't hear it. Which one? I know, right? Or their refrigerator whirs really loudly, and it drives you nuts. Or drives me nuts anyways. But they get used to it. That's an example of habituation. But 50% of horse training is teaching your horse what you want them to do. The other 50% is trying not to teach them what you don't want them to do. And so that's a difficult task. And one of the biggest beginner rider mistakes that I see is people will kick their horse to get them to go, and then their horse goes, and then they just keep kicking. And the horse is like, well, that must not be the right answer. Maybe I'll stop. And they're like, this horse won't go. So and you just have to be mindful, if my horse isn't doing what I'm asking them to do, is there something that I need to change to help my horse understand? Sometimes it's our timing, and sometimes it's as simple as giving your horse more information about the task. But because, it's easy to get them into that habit, horses are easy to pattern. So that's the next thing we need to understand is horses are pattern animals. So what this means is if you do it once, your horse is going to get, and you do it over time again and again, your horse gets patterned to whatever that task is. So if I'm mounting my horse and I let him walk off every time, or I'll not even letting him walk off. So I get on my horse, and I ask him to go immediately. Pretty soon, I can't even get on, and my horse is walking off. So as a horseman, to me, it's all about building good habits. If you want to allow your horse to do that with your kid, or with a kid that you don't know, then why are you allowing it for you, you know? So, I'm big on getting your horse to partner up with you and stand at the mounting block. So if I want to reset that pattern, what I can do is I get on my horse and I sit and wait. And I'm horrible at waiting. So what I have learned to do over the years is I just count to 30 and then I walk off. And just changing our habits can make a huge difference to our horse. Because horses, because they're pattern animals, they're like, oh, they'll anticipate, and they'll be like, this is going to happen next. Mm-hmm. So let's just do the next thing, and then we can be done, right? And this brings us to natural horsemanship, and this is what I do, and the method that I like to use. And it's basically a non-coercive method to train horses and developing a partnership. And horsemanship, to me, is creating the habits and the skills to communicate with horses. And to turn your horse from a prey animal to a predator. So all the things that our horse naturally does out in the environment that would typically save them can become very dangerous for us as riders. So it's very important to understand our horse's nature and why they flee from predators and all that stuff so that we can learn to handle that and help our horse think through it and become a problem solver instead of reacting to things in the environment. And helping them become more of a partner for us. And that's my goal, is to, any horse that I ride, I'm trying to build a partnership with them. And a partnership is 50-50. They have to carry their weight, I have to carry my weight. So it doesn't mean I'm micromanaging my horse through every maneuver. It's his responsibility to look where he's going, maintain gait, and be attentive to the rider. It's my job to show up as a good leader. And that's what this clinic's about, is how can we be a leader worth following to our horse. So we already went over communication is, based off body language. And the communication that I use with natural horsemanship is based off of the herd dynamics. So I didn't just make this stuff up. A lot of it is based off of that. I skipped ahead with some of this stuff, so. But a leader constantly shows up with a plan and shows the horse that there is comfort where the leader says there is. So, I tell my horse, if I'm lunging my horse on the ground, I'm going to tell him, hey, it looks a lot nicer over there. Let's go over there. And then my stick comes in, and my stick is basically the stallion. So my hand's the mare, she's going to ask, and my stallion's going to ask, tell, and be assertive. I don't think it's command. There's another word in there. Promise, thank you. Well, we're gonna follow through. We're gonna do more than promise. So, that's really funny. But if you look at picture 18, who is the alpha in that photo?
The golden one.
Oh, you're cheating. You know all of them.
Oh, these are all.
Oh, is that salty?
Salty.
Oh, well, yeah.
You don't get to answer these questions.
The golden one. How about that?
Well, I recognize that shed.
I know, you probably do recognize that.
Texas.
Anyways, that's so funny. It was supposed to be a video too, so it's just a graphic for us tonight.
It's a tricky one though, because the other one has his tail cut off, so.
Yeah, but that golden one's looking at it like,
Like,
you don't want
get out of
him.
here.
Yeah,
He's asking that, but
that's a good example of pinned ears.
Yes.
You know, they're mildly pinned.
No,
you know?
you're not the alpha.
Yeah, they're
today.
not all the way down.
Yeah.
She's looking at them.
He's an unconfident alpha, but he's the oldest of my herd. I have my 3 babies and then him, so he has the most experience. So he is loving ruling the roost because he has been bottom of the pecking order his whole life.
So he's like, it's my time.
Yes, he's like, this is my time. You little babies don't get to rule over anything.